Hi everybody and welcome to the channel and welcome to the mobile man cave. Say hello to big boy Milo and little girl Kira. So normally on the channel I do basically motorcycle related stuff, if I'm being honest, but every now and again I will do a video which is outside of that sphere to help you folks out if I think it will be of use to you. And today's one of those days. So basically we're talking about the instrument warning lights on your Fiat Ducato or Peugeot Boxster or Citroen van. If those instrument warning lights are continually glowing, it's a well-known problem. It's documented on numerous internet forums. So I've had this van since 2015. We're now 2022, so it's 7 years old. Bought it from a UK dealer. It is based on the Fiat Ducato chassis, and it's an Adria Motorhome. I've done about 14,000 miles in it, and obviously the last 3 years haven't done much mileage, basically because of COVID. So about 2.5–3 years ago, just before the lockdown, I noticed that the instrument cluster, the warning lights, even when the vehicle was switched off, were just glowing very slightly. And then if you're driving along, you just see some of those instrument warning lights were just slightly glowing, and when you turn the ignition off they would stay on for a little while and then the glow would reduce and disappear. I've read on the internet it's basically poor damp sealing around the instrument cluster itself, and also they used poor quality components. So most fans tend to be laid up for a little bit, so a little moisture inside, and then you get those lights illuminating, albeit very slightly. It's a little bit annoying, and it may very well fail an MOT. So what is the answer? Several things really you can do. You can either fork out about 800 quid and buy a new instrument cluster from your local Fiat dealer or online, or you can source a second-hand one if that's your thing, or you can get it repaired. Clearly my van is not under warranty. We're well outside of the 2-year warranty, and I think we're well outside of any goodwill gesture by Fiat, and good luck to you if you can get anything from Fiat. I'm sure some people have, but if you've bought a second-hand motorhome on a Fiat chassis, or it's the Peugeot or the Citroen, you may very well get a similar issue, albeit that your vehicle is second-hand. You may have had the instrument cluster replaced already, and then it's going to go again. So hopefully we can help you folks out. So what am I going to do? Well, what I'm going to do is remove the instrument cluster. That takes about 5 minutes, but before we do that I'm going to disconnect the negative terminal on the battery, which is down here under the front seat on the left hand side, and just make sure everything's safe, and then we'll remove the instrument cluster. And then I'm going to use a company, found them on the internet, and indeed a lot of the forum guys say that they're pretty good to use. So that company is called, let's have a look, it is called Cartronix, and they're based on the south part of the UK near Portsmouth. And basically you take your cluster out, put it in a box, send it to them through the postal service, and then they'll get it, they'll repair it once you've paid the fee. And the fee is, let me give you the correct details for that. The correct details are it's £150, and that includes VAT, and then it's about £12.95 for postage and packaging. So that's what we're going to do, and it will take about 3 days. I live in Jersey, so it's going to take about 3 days for it to get there. They'll repair it on the same day. Once you've paid them the money, then they'll ship it back to me. We'll fit it, and then hopefully I would have saved myself at least 600 quid rather than paying £800 for a new unit, which may very well fail again if they haven't got their act together. So, and this company, they also give you a lifetime warranty, and I haven't read anything bad about them from people that have had it repaired. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up and let's disconnect the negative terminal of the battery and then take the cluster out. So I've just removed the carpet, and then with a flat bladed screwdriver just undo the screws and then lift it up, and then you may just have to give it a little bit of a yank towards you just to release the male lugs from the female part. And there we go, and then go and put that somewhere safe. We've got the negative side here, so what I'm going to do is just release this catch here. Oh, that's easier said than done. Just release that and then lift it up and then put it to one side. What I also like to do, a little bit of cardboard actually, belt and braces for me. It's a little bit overboard, but there we go. So I know there's no problems there, so that cardboard just keeps it isolated totally. So that is the vehicle prepared. So the next thing then, we've got 2 screws, Torx T25s, one under here and then the other one is under there. So with your Torx T25, it's just going at sort of this angle and then just undo it. That's about the angle you need to do. There it goes on the floor, and do the same for the other side. Bum, 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 bum. There it goes. So there's my Torx T25s, keep them somewhere safe. So now's not a time to be squeamish. There's 3 male lugs going into the rest of the dash. That's what's keeping them in securely. So basically you've got to pull up quite hard. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. There we go. And you can see those three male lugs just down here, or 2 male lugs actually, and then whatever that middle one is there, and they fit in those square bits down there. So give it a good old pull, don't be frightened. And then there's a couple of Torx screws, one there, and I guess there's going to be another one down here, so we'll undo those now. So these are Torx T25, so let's take this one out, and then the other one just down here. So all the 4 screws we've taken out are exactly the same, so it doesn't really matter if you mix and match them when you put them back, but don't lose them. So this should now be free, so this instrument cluster should be free to come out, which it is. And then just on the back you've got the connecting cable, just try not to stress it too much. And then we've got a little clip here, and it looks like it's a 2-part procedure. So it looks like we push in and then pull, and then that will release the connector. And then if by magic we have a instrument cluster, which I'm now going to put in a box and send to Cartronix for them to fix. Woohoo! Going to pop this cover back on and then give it a good old tap. That's not going to go anywhere, and then hopefully in a couple of days time it'll be back fixed, sorted for a lot less than 800 quid. So here we are then in the man cave with one successfully removed instrument cluster. So what I'm going to do, you don't have to do it actually, I'm just going to put a little bit of tape on here with my name and my mobile phone number, just in case they lose the paper that I'm going to put in the box. And it might just be worthwhile just taking a photograph or video of the instrument cluster just to show that it is undamaged before you put it in a suitably sized box. And then go to your computer, go to the Cartronix website, fill in all the details, your name, your address, your phone number. You need to put the mileage of your vehicle in there as well. That's very important, as if they lose the mileage on the unit, they then need to re-enter it onto the instrument cluster. So make a note of the mileage, you need your registration number, and then just a fault description, just a quick narrative as to what's wrong with it, and then print that off your computer. And then with that bit of paper, pop that in there, so when it gets to Cartronix, they'll open the box, they'll see the light cluster unit, or the instrument cluster unit, sorry, and then they'll have the bit of paper and they know whose it is, what's the problem, and where they have to send it to. But before they do any work on it, they will phone me up on that mobile number, on that bit of paper, and say, hello Mr. P, we've got your instrument cluster unit, can you give us some money? I will give them my credit card details, pay them, and then they will do the job, and then hopefully they will spin that round in 24 hours and then send that back to me either in this box or some other box that they may have. So that's what I'm going to do. So let's secure this up, lots of tape, and then nip down to the post office, and then the next thing will be the postman bringing me this box back. Yes, and hopefully fixed. Fingers crossed. Okay folks, so here we are then. Cartronix have repaired the cluster and they sent it back to me in one of their, I guess, boxes. Unbeknown to me, when I sent this from my home address to Cartronix, it was obviously laid up in a warehouse somewhere. I didn't realise it got caught up in the UK Postal Service strike. So what should have taken a 5-day turnaround from me dispatching it to getting it back took something like 5 weeks. So, but that's not Cartronix's fault, it's somebody else's fault. Anyway, here it is now. So they sent it back to me in one of their, I guess, dedicated boxes. I've opened it up already. It's very well packaged. Lots of protective stuff in there. And lots of this shredded kind of, I don't know, paper stuff, and then bubble wrap as well. And when I spoke to the chap there at Cartronix just to see how the progress is coming along, and may I just say exceptionally good customer service from Cartronix. They've been really good. He was telling me that when they when they received my cluster in the morning, it was fixed and repaired and then sent out to me the last post on that day. So yeah, they have spun it around very quickly, and the chap did say that they had 40 plus clusters going out back to their owners. So yeah, very busy company. So anyway, so the cluster is now here. I know it's my one because I put my phone number and name on the top of it on a bit of card, and I took photos of it to make sure it wasn't damaged. And yeah, it's not damaged as well. So they have repaired it. I've already fitted it in the van, so I know it works. But yeah, Cartronix, really good customer service. So I think what we're going to do now is take this cluster and fit it into my Fiat Ducato Adria Motorhome. Let's go and do that now, and that'll take about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So here we are then in the motorhome. So what you might notice is when you get your instrument cluster back from Cartronix, that the speedo and the rev counter, the needles might not be at 0. They might be somewhere around the dial. So rest assured, it's not a problem. When you put the power back into the unit, they will reset to 0. So don't worry about that. So obviously, what do we need to reinstall it? Well, the same things that we did on the when we took it out. So your Torx T25, and then we're going to just put 4 of those Torx T25 screws back into the dashboard itself. So how do we fit it? Well, we've got 2 lugs at the bottom here, and those 2 lugs fit into 2 holes just behind this bottom part here, and then we'll pop that in, and then we'll just put 2 screws in, one here and one over there, and then pop the cover on, and then we've got another 2 screws, one here and then one on the other side, and that is the job done. What we're going to do is, that's how the unit is set. So that's the plug that goes into the back. So this red bit is at 90 degrees, and then what we're going to do is just pop that in there and then move that red lever until it clicks. So that is now in, and there's a little button here which should just pop up and then stop that red lever coming back. So that is now in, and then we're just going to pop the unit, those 2 rubber pins, into the holes at the bottom there. Just a bit of a waggle until they pop in, and a bit of a click, and they're in now. And all you've now got to do is put those 4 screws back in the reverse order that we actually took the unit out. So let's get those screws back in. So that's the unit, nice and secure. Just waggle it just to make sure it is sat properly, and I'm more than happy with that. And then all we need to do now is put the plastic cover back on. If you remember, when we took it off, we gave it a bit of a yank. So to put it on, we just got to give it a bit of a tap down, slide it in that way. So the underside is the driver's side of the brackets here, and on the other side. So I just tilt it up. So push that on, and then a firm tap. There we go, and then we just got to put the 2 screws up here. So a handy hint from myself is when you're putting these 2 front screws in, they're quite tricky actually, and if you do drop them, which some people do, they can go down between the gap between the bottom of the cluster and the top of the steering column, and then you've got to take things off and try and find them. But if you put a bit of a cloth across the top there, so you sort of cover that gap, if you do drop one, you ain't going to lose it forever. So yeah, quick top tip from myself. So all we need to do now is just put the negative terminal back onto the battery, and then once that's done, we'll put the battery cover back on, put the carpet back over the top, then give it sort of 3 to 5 minutes, let the ECUs all talk to each other, and then we'll just turn the ignition key on and just have a look at the warning lights, and fingers crossed everything will be nice and bright and there'll be no warning lights glowing in the background. So let's do that now. So that's the battery stroke floor panel back on, then we'll put the carpet over the top, job done. Okay folks, everything's now done, carpet's now back, everything's nice and secure. I've waited 5 to 10 minutes just for the batteries to talk to the ECUs. If that's the thing you're supposed to do, if that's the right thing to do, make any comments in the comment section down below. That would be lovely for those of you that know. So all we need to do now is just take the ignition key and then pop in the ignition, turn it, see what happens. And then lo and behold, yes, we have all the lights come on nicely, nice and bright. And then we just check everything, turn the headlights on. Do the backlights dim? Yes, they do. Indicators work, all fine. Flashers work. And then you can see that I've got a check airbag, but I know about that. There's a little ECU kind of box just down here. It looks, it's about the size of a cigarette unpack it, so that's another problem for me to sort out. But the main thing is Cartronix have worked their magic and they've sorted out those dimly lit warning lights when everything gets switched off, or when you're driving along. They were there, and they're a lot brighter now, certainly a lot brighter. And when we turn the ignition off, nothing, dark as. So they have fixed the problem with the instrument cluster. More than happy with that. Everything's been set to 0. My fuel gauge is reading correctly, and the speedo and the rev counter have all gone back to 0. The mileage is correct, and as you remember at the start of the video, I just said make a note of the mileage, and there's the check airbag warning thing. So yeah, Cartronix, double thumbs up from me. Saved me a fortune, and it's cost me £162, including postage and packaging or thereabouts. So customer service is brilliant. I can't recommend them highly enough. If you've got problems with your warning lights on your Fiat Ducato based motorhome or Citroen or Boxer or whatever, yeah, give Cartronix a phone call, give them an email, send it off, and it should be back within 3 to 4 days. So big thumbs up. As ever, ride safely, but for this video it's going to be drive safely in your motorhome. Take care and cheerio for now. Bye bye.